Hi there, welcome back to the archives. So again, this is not really planned, but I realized I gotta, if I want to share as many of these 50 goddess spirits, I gotta start getting into it. So I thought I would start this morning before I get my day started. So we're gonna move on to Athena. So again, we're sharing goddess, 50 goddesses, spirits, and saints, and other female figures who have shaped belief. This is written by Dr. Janina Ramirez, and it's illustrated by Sarah Walsh. So we're moving on to the second one, which is Athena. So this is the artwork we have for Athena. If you can see. Um, so Athena is a goddess of wisdom and the guardian of Greece. So now we're going to Europe. We had done Inanna just before, and Inanna was like the Middle East, Iraq, Syria, Turkey. Now we're moving west to Europe and Greece. And so she kind of had a bizarre birth. Athena is a Greek goddess of wisdom, of warfare, and weaving. She's also the protector of the ancient city named in her honor, Athens. So Athens is named after Athena. Someone was saying recently that like Athens is kind of like, was it boring? When I went to Greece, did we go to Athens? I don't think I visited Athens. I went to Thessaloniki. Um, I think we were in Thessaloniki, so it's different from Athens. But anyway, she is also the protector of the ancient. Oh yeah, I already said that. So she's Athens is named after her. She's usually shown fully armed, carrying weapons. She has sacred symbols like the wise owl and the sharp-eyed snake. Again, to a lot of cultures now, they try to demonize this, right? Oh, the snake is demonic. Um, and you're like, okay, again, that's your way. But the wise owl was associated with Athena, so was the snake, and these you see this often uh, as signs across other cultures, right? I know in some indigenous cultures they ask you to show warnings before you show the snake because the snake is taboo to them, right? I think the owl was even taboo. I just watched Residence Dogs, Reservation Dogs on CBC Gem, right? And Reservation Dogs is an indigenous tribes in the United States. I can't think of where right now. But you see that like anytime they show the owl, it's blurred out, right? They don't show the owl because the owl to their tribe, their peoples is taboo. So Athena's father was Zeus. I'm not good with Greek mythology. I typically I didn't really care growing up. I was just like I would rather learn about Asasia, but so I'm not great with Greek mythology. I actually hate that I'm sharing Athena's story because I personally don't really care. But I think it would be important for those who are into Greek mythology to know who Athena is. I think it's important to share some of the women all over the world, which is why I think this book is really important, right? I might not care about it, but maybe somebody else out there will. So Athena's father was Zeus. He was the king of the gods. But her mother was Metis. How do you say it? Metis? Metis. She was also powerful. Her mother was really cunning. Her mother was described as wiser than all the gods and mortal men. Zeus has heard a worrying rumor that any children he had with his first wife, Metis, would be incredibly wise, but they would also challenge his great power. So he's nervous now. He's like, oh my God, any children I have with this woman, they're going to try to outsmart me. And so to get rid of this danger, he simply swallowed his pregnant wife. You're like, how did he swallow a pregnant wife? Again, mythology don't really make a lot of sense. But so Zeus thought that he thought that with no more of his wife around, he had gotten rid of this terrible headache, right? If the kid can't be bored because I swallowed the mother, well then, there's no kid that's gonna supersede me. Men, they've always had this logic of like fearing their daughters. And so, he started to get headaches. Now he's starting to get terrible headaches though. So he's unable to deal with it. Hephaestus, is that how you say it? He ordered the god of blacksmiths to crack his own head open with an axe. Again, you're like, what? But see how like when you read other Bible, I mean, when you read these stories, you're like, that can't be true. A god can't swallow his own wife. But like you read the Bible, you're like, wow, Jesus totally raised this person from the dead. Mary had a child without ever having sex. So again, we place we there's a hierarchy of like what could possibly be real. The Bible must be real. Mary had to have had a child without ever having sex, even though biologically it doesn't make no sense. But like when you hear stories like this, you're like, oh, it's a myth. Totally fake, right? So just think about what do you consider to be totally fake when you read it, and what do you give a little bit more leniency because it's real because it's yours, right? So apparently, Zeus had a blacksmith crack his head open with an axe. Out springs Athena. She's like, you thought you could block me? Here I am, daddy. So apparently, and she's like fully clothed. She's a fully grown woman. Again, how did you weren't even born. You were in your mother's belly when I swallowed you. Now out you come as a full blown grown ass adult woman in warrior battle, right? So you get this sense that like this is like how she came out of her father's brain, basically. And you're like, totally real. So that's the story of her birth, right? Apparently her father swallowed her mom, and then she came out of her father's brain, fully ready for war, ready for battle. And so she loved helping heroes. One of her favorite stories is that she helped Hercules. Remember Hercules? Hercules, Hercules. Um, helped Hercules with his 12 labors. Again, I don't even think I've ever watched the show Hercules. I don't even know nothing about Hercules. Don't ask me nothing about Roman mythology, because like then you're gonna piss me off. But apparently Hercules, I don't remember watching Hercules. What's Hercules' story? I don't know. Hercules was Athena's half brother. Did you know that? I didn't know that they were even related. But Athena and Hercules are related. Um, and he had been driven mad by Zeus's wife Hera. So one day, feeling very confused and angry, Hercules killed his wife and children. You're like, oh my God, these men have always, it's a tale as old as time, right? Did he end up killing himself? He should have. That's usually what happens, right? They'll kill the wife, they kill all the kids, and they kill themselves. Hercules didn't do that. He just killed his wife and children, apparently. Afterwards, he was racked with guilt and begged for forgiveness from the wise oracle of Delphi. Again, see, Hercules is going to an oracle, a woman. A lot of these religions don't like it. A man went to a woman? No, you're supposed to go to God. God is a father. God is a man. You don't go to a woman. Patriarchy. So in Roman times, in the Greeks, Hercules went to the oracle of Delphi, and as punishment, she gave him punishment again, right? She told him that he had to serve, how do you say this, king? Your thesis? Your thesis? Eurystheus? I don't know. That's another reason I don't like Greek mythology. Like, why are your names like so complicated? But again, that's not an excuse, right? There's names, complicated names from all over the world. He went to some king who gave him 12 years, and he had to complete certain tasks. Hercules was struggling. He was having a really hard time, and he needed Athena's help. Again, they're not going to tell you that Hercules needed help from a woman, right? Women are beneath men. Women are not strong. Women are weak. So how is it that Athena, a female, helped Hercules, a male? She did. Apparently, she gave him, Athena helped him wherever she could. She used loud noises, for instance, to distract the birds in the air. So Athena could shoot him. I mean, Hercules could shoot them down. Basically, she helped Hercules. And again, why would you help? She's not really a girl's girl. Why would you help a man that has killed his wife and kids? Like, you have to ask Athena, if you're the goddess of wisdom, how did you think it was wise to help Hercules? He literally killed his children and wife. But she did. She helped him. She's really fearless. So she went up against the sea of God, Poseidon, Poseidon, that how you say it? Poseidon, in a competition. He struck his trident into the ground, and water sprang up, giving Athenians access to sea and trade, but it was too salty to drink. So Athena's gift was the very first olive tree in Greece. So she gave them the very, very first olive tree. Is said to come from Athena. It provided wood, oil, food. Again, we see like the reverence for olive trees here. It was basically, he declared Athens guardian goddess. She's sometimes shown with an olive tree, right, which was her precious gift to the Greek people as a symbol of peace. So this is a little bit about Athena. There's a temple built in her honor at the hilltop Acropolis in Athens. It is a reminder of her influence. There's sculptures from there are some of the most well-known treasures in ancient world, and they are thought to show how the goddess was worshipped long ago. Originally an enormous statue made from gold and ivory, and it stood inside the temple with the priestess who looked after it. So every year the Athenians honor their courageous goddess with games and processions. The sacred statue would be dressed in a new gown called a peplos, is that how you say it? Which the people of the city would spend months weaving with dedication. Today, Athena remains an inspiring goddess. She represents calm wisdom, but also is known to be a ruthless warrior. She could be your powerful enemy, but even braver, a more resourceful friend. So, this is a little bit about Athena, okay? The goddess of wisdom and the guardian of Greece. So, I'm going to end it there. Again, this is from the book Goddess 50 Goddesses, Spirits, and Saints, written by Dr. Janina Ramirez, and it's illustrated by Sarah Walsh. So the next one to get into is Mami Wata. I feel like I'm gonna go work out. I'll end it here for now, because this is not how I want to be dressed when I talk about Mami Wata. Maybe I'll go, uh, you know, we'll go into Mami Wata. We'll talk about Newt and Juno. All right, so stay tuned. I'm gonna try to get through as many of these as possible. So every day I'll try to do some. Meaning you're probably not gonna get me like dressed, really, right? You're gonna get what you're gonna get. But I think it's important to share some of these stories because I didn't know about a lot of these goddesses when I was growing up. I think it would have been helpful to know more stories of powerful women, to know when I was hearing a lie, right? When somebody said that women are weak, I could say, I don't think that's true, right? It helps you to push back a little bit against some of this misinformation, which is essentially an agenda, right? It's just women are easier to control, society is easier to control when a woman is beneath a man, but it hasn't always been that way, is basically the point, okay? So that was a little bit about Athena from Greece, okay? Until next time, in solidarity.